I began in 1971 when I graduated from the University of Washington. I was very fortunate to get a fellowship, Reginald Heber Smith Fellow, and that was a legal services fellowship. It wasn't any great shakes. I think it was just a way to get more money into legal services. And it was intended to basically, I think, assist getting minorities into legal services. You might wonder why I would get it, since I'm not a minority unless you call Italian, and then I'd be a minority. I don't know why I got it at all, but I got the opportunity to go to the Navajo Nation. I worked for a couple of years, and it was an experience that changed my life and set me on my course to be a lawyer in Indian country for my whole career, which I have done. I did that. I came up here. I did the Bolt case for 10 or 12 years. I went over and represented the Colville tribe for about 16, and I've been back at Muckleshoot, which I represented. This is great. I represented Muckleshoot when they needed a legal services lawyer. And today, like so many tribes, they have developed their own enterprises where they hired me as my father would say, a real lawyer. And so that's where I've been for my 41 years. I think the mentor needs to be very attuned to the people that he or she is working with. I think you need to know where people are coming from so you can address, so you at least know how they view the world. And tribal people view the world differently than non-tribal people do. An African American is going to view it differently than someone else because it's just the baggage they come in with. So I think it's extremely important. And I think it's extremely important if you are white or a dominant, if you're the dominant person in the society you're dealing with, whether you're a man or a woman for that matter, you need to know where people are coming from and how they view the world. For example, there's much talk today amongst Indian people about the use of pejorical native terms. Geronimo for catching Osama bin Laden, Indian giver, the naming of athletic teams. Now, I'll be honest with you, that doesn't resonate particularly with me, but it does with them. And so, if you're going to deal with Indian people, you have to know what they care about, and so I mean, that's why you need to know what they're doing. And you can make mistakes. I will confess, it had to do with, I mean, I don't think you need to be politically correct. I think that's the wrong way to go. I think if you just measure all your words so that you're never going to say something wrong or never say something bad, that just loses all the dynamics of the relationship. So you can't be afraid to speak, but you've got to be willing to say, I'm sorry, Jesus, I really screwed up. And the person you're mentoring needs to have the courage to say, that's not appropriate, and this is why. So both parties, mentoring is a two-way street. Both parties should be enriched by it. Reach out to the person being mentored and just say to that person, I want to make myself available to you. First of all, let's find formal times to deal with it. And the other time is, I'm always available. And I'm available after hours. If you're working on a brief at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're stiming, you call me. And we'll talk about it. And that's not an inconvenience to me. And then the mentor has got to, and I've experienced this, they've got to drop by. You've got the formal, we're going to meet every Thursday, how are you doing? You've given the person license to talk to you. Now, they may not want to do that because you said you can call at 2 o'clock, but they're not going to believe you, of course. They're not going to, no one's going to do that. So you're going to have to drop by regularly. How are you doing? Can I look at that? First of all, and I'm not taking it to the senior partner. If this is a piece of trash, it's never going to go anywhere. When the mentor is dealing with the mentee, it can't be evaluation time. You drop by, you make yourself available, you have a formal aspect to it where I'm your mentor. And then the person needs to know that you want to be their mentor. This is something I want to do. You know, we have a program here. Not everybody in the firm does it. I want to do this. I like doing this. I think you need to tell them, if we get into this and I'm not helping you, for whatever reason, it's okay to say, it's not working. I got met with some David Getches. Getches was the lead lawyer for legal services. He was a Native American Rights Fund, which is a legal services backup center, which doesn't exist anymore as a backup center. And I waltz in, and you know, I'm going to gradually take his place because he's going to do something else. And I learned a lot from him. He took me back to Boulder. He let me stay at his house, showed me where the files were, talked about the case, talked about how he did it, how it was filed, and just helped me get up to speed. And then I got to watch him in court for about 6 months. And then he left, and then unfortunately, I was it. I became the lead lawyer in U.S. versus Washington 3.5 years out of law school. It's hard to maintain them, but by that time, the roles have shifted. They no longer need mentoring. They should be mentoring on their own. Now, 5, 6, 7 years into it, your mentorship should evolve into a friendship. You still talk about the cases, but you're talking as equals. I think the firm has to believe that mentoring is a billable hour. In other words, even though money is not coming in, it is generating money for the firm. And if you don't mentor your young lawyers, you're not going to make money in the firm because they're not going to do the work you want them to do, no matter how smart they are. So I think that in a commercial sense, you have to make the commitment that this is essential. This is money making. This is billable, even though we're not billing for it. It's on the plus side of the ledger, not the negative side. Mentoring is fun. First of all, you get to talk to new people. They're younger people than you. You got different. You can sit down and talk about. You don't know who the Grateful Dead is? I mean, this generational thing here. You know, that's fun to find out what the people you pay no attention to are in life are doing. So it's fun. And second of all, they're usually interesting people. So you get and it's productive, not in the sense that you're making a young lawyer better, hopefully, but you're making yourself better too.